Then you moved so you wouldn't have to walk so far. That's when I moved to the free place. And I didn't have to walk so far, and then I got a car. And we drove the car. Lamar finally went to work there, and he worked there for a long time, and they finally sold that laundry. And I went to work at the hospital, running the laundry there for them.
Before then, you had a restaurant, didn't you?
Well, we did have a, that was after I went to work. We had, well, I don't remember. I worked at the laundry first, and went to work at, and got this cafe and went to work in there. We ran a cafe for a while there in Gilmer.
Then you baked pies and cakes.
I baked pies and cakes for the cafe, and we sold that, and Dr. Madison wanted me to come to work at the hospital there and deal with their laundry. So I went there and worked there until I retired. I don't remember what year I retired, but I went back and checked once in a while to see if everything was running right. They asked me to do that, and I'd work a day now and then and check everything to see if it was going well.
How many years did you work?
I forgot.
Started to work at when Faye was 5.
I believe I did. I started to work when Fayrene was 3. And I got Jessie Odom, R.B. Odom's wife, and she had a child to come there and stay at my house so Fayrene could stay there at home. And I know on her, she wasn't 3, I don't believe, at first. And on her birthday, I let her go and sit right there on the stool where I was working all day. I had promised her she could do that. And I was running presses, and I run from 2 presses all the time. And sometimes things I could change fast, I run 3 presses. And I was working there when my father died. And Ramond came to the window
In 1980.
and told me that my father was dead. And I quit then and went out to my parents' house.
I said 1980, that was sure wrong. When did Grandpa die in 1940?
40.
I meant.
Yes, Papa died in 1940. And when my mother died, before my mother died, they had 287 descendants. And my parents had 16 children and lived to raise them all, and each of them was married and had a family when they died. We had a family group picture made when the last baby was born. It was just maybe 2 or 3 months old when that family group was made. Really? On holidays, we'd have big dinners, especially on my parents' birthday, I remember my father's birthday once we went and carried a trunk of dinner. Archie came in his truck with his family and picked us up with a trunk full of lunch, and we all went down there for his birthday dinner. All the children usually come to their birthday dinners when they had a birthday dinner, but we often went Sunday after church down there for a while and visit with our parents. Even after they sold out, my father finally decided he would sell out and go to Arkansas, and he stayed 1 year. They'd lost a grandbaby of my sister's child that had died, and he was just out there 1 year, and he couldn't stand it. He came back, and he didn't buy a place after that. He just rented, and we lived at Grayston part of the time, but we often went down and visited them. And when they were near, we always visited them usually on weekends for a little while at least.
What were some of the things you remember at the dinners? Some of the things you ate, or people y'all fixed?
Well, there was always so much dinner there, and a table full of stuff, and we had it on the outside. There were so many of us. And there was 2 or 3 tables full of food, and we just had different foods or whatever we wanted. If it was ham or chicken and dressing, and pies and cakes, and everything you could think of, we usually had it for our dinners. Different ones would bring different food.
Were you still working when Grandma died?
I'm not. No, I was at home when Mother died. I taken off from work when Mother came to my place to live, and I was here when she died.
You never worked anymore after that?
Yes, I went back to work, I believe, and worked some more. And finally retired, but the man asked me to come back and check everything once in a while. Can't understand. We moved to Kelsey, 1945. We bought this place out here, and we've lived here ever since. And we've enjoyed living here.
What'd you do in the church here?
Well, my son-in-law was put in as bishop, and he wanted me as Relief Society president, and I was for a long time. And then I decided that our cemetery needed cleaning up, and I asked the sisters if we'd all clean the church, if they'd all be willing to help clean the church for us to make money to start in on that cemetery and get it a better fence around it, which most of them agreed to, but they didn't wait for us to make money at the church to start in. Everybody wanted to do something about that cemetery and get a good fence around it. And they came. Everybody that was able could afford to come to work, and we had commissioners from our ward and from Brother Roy Means' ward came, 2 commissioners and their crews with their trucks and teams and everything, and we worked in that cemetery for 4 days, and they filled up a ditch where water run through, and taking big trees off of that cemetery lot, and everybody that could afford to come out and worked. And we had a table down there, and we cooked and spreaded the table for those men that was working so they wouldn't have to bring their lunch. But they brought it, but they'd always eat with us. And we really enjoyed working that cemetery and getting in better shape and getting a fence around it and flagpole up there, and Vaughn wanted us to put some markers out in front where
Monuments to each war.
monuments for different wars. And there was 6 monuments put there for different wars, and a 7th one in between telling what it was all about. And there's a flag at each one of those monuments, which it has 7 flags there, and we have a big flag to put up on special occasions. A big flagpole just on the inside of the cemetery. We've done lots of work in that cemetery. And now Joy and Grubbs has taken care of it and keeps it in good shape. Can't think of about it.
Yeah.
This is a piece of furniture that I got from Arthur Lee when he was running a store there in Gilmer, just selling a little of everything, relics of different kinds, you know. I bought that from Arthur Lee. I believe I gave him a center table, and it wasn't a nice one, and a cabinet that I didn't think much of, and $10 for that piece of furniture. And it was nearly 100 years old when I got it from him. It's got 2 leaves there that'll turn back from one side. It's what it is, and a shelf to pull out, a bookcase like, with all of this other on it. And he said it was about 100 years old then.
Is that a black purse?
I've got a chest in my other room that I'm going to give Joy, a cedar chest.
Why are you giving that to her?
Well, I just wanted to give it to her, and Fayreen's had this one given to her, so now I can give Joy mine.
Well, where did you get your chest?
I bought it from Alice May, my niece. She had bought it and then wanted to sell it, and I bought it and paid her for it, and I'd had it for a long time, and I always keep special things in it. That's a bedroom suit in there that Leela bought since I've been living here. And that picture on the wall up there is one that Mona Ray painted and gave me. And those small pictures I put on that wall when Leela was on that bed sick in there. And this one behind you is one that
This land is called the last frontier. It is known by other names. The Great Land, Land of the Midnight Sun. It is a place of many names, a place of many places. Lush, rain-drenched forests to the south, barren, windswept tundras to the north. In between, lofty, glacier-studded mountains and vast lowlands. This is the land called Alaska. Alaska is the largest of the 50 states, with a land mass 1/5 the size of the entire United States. There are 6 distinct geographic regions in Alaska: the Arctic, the Northwest, the Interior, the Southwest, the South Central, and the Southeast. Each region has special characteristics that set it apart from the other. Southeast Alaska is a region called the Panhandle. The region is a narrow strip of mountainous mainland and more than 1,000 islands. It is an area of lush forests and towering mountains. As much as a land of forested islands, it is a region of water and ice. Many of those who enter Alaska from the Pacific Northwest will ride in one of what we affectionately call our blue canoes, an Alaska ferry. The ferry system serves the entire Gulf Coast of Alaska, but it is especially important to thousands of Alaskans who live on the Panhandle, where air and water are the only means of transportation between communities. The first stop the ferry makes on its northward journey from the Pacific Northwest is Ketchikan. Ketchikan has been called Alaska's first city, simply because it is the first city on the way through the Inside Passage. The city is also first in precipitation. Since it is situated on the edge of a rainforest, Ketchikan receives rain about 240 days of the year. Southeast Alaska was once known as the salmon capital of the world. Today, salmon processing is still important to the economy of the region. Commercial salmon fishing is serious, competitive business to the more than 7,000 boats in the Southeast Fleet. Commercial fishermen are not the only fishermen in Southeast Alaska. Thousands of anglers try their luck at outwitting the wily salmon. There is also the four-legged fisherman. Some simply play a waiting game with good results. Others take a less cagey, more direct approach. The wet, temperate climate of Southeast Alaska produces thick forests, providing the raw material for the region's timber industry. Timber plays an important part in the economy of this region, and with fish, provides the basis of the state's international trade with Asian nations. Before the white man came to Southeast Alaska in the early 18th century, several major native groups prospered in the land. The evidence of the rich Tlingit and Haida culture still exists today. The state capital of Alaska is located at Juneau. Most of the 25,000 residents live along a narrow corridor of land at the base of towering mountains. But the city is spread out over so great an area that in landmass it is one of the largest cities in North America. Juneau is a major stop on ferry and cruise ship schedules, and with good reason. A short distance from the city center is Mendenhall Glacier, a popular attraction for thousands of visitors every year. The glacier can be hiked on, flown over, photographed, or just enjoyed up close for its size and spectacular blue ice. At the top of the Alaska Panhandle, where the border of Alaska and Canada nearly meet the Pacific Ocean, is the unique town of Skagway. Whether entering by road or by ship, travelers find Skagway a step back in history.